Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Queen made Schatt & Morgan number 041-91L swing guard lockback in corncob bone. And so first of all, this was loaned to me by my brother. He got this at a local gun show, and it's a really cool find. I thought that he did well to pick this one up because I think it's a really great example of Queen's kind of best era in the modern era. So Queen was around for about 100 years, and unfortunately went out of business, went bankrupt in 2018. And this knife, if you look at the tang stamp here, is from 1994. So it's, an older knife, not one of the oldest knives made by Queen, of course, but an older knife from their modern era. And I think that they were doing a great job at this time, and especially these Schatt & Morgan knives. This is part of the Schatt & Morgan Keystone Series, so you can see that it has the Keystone shield, which I love because I'm from Pennsylvania, where Schatt & Morgan and Queen were made, which is in Titusville, Pennsylvania. You can see that on the swing guard there. And you can see that that shield is pinned in there. So I really like that Keystone shield. And it's kind of an interesting pattern. So as I said, this is a swing guard lockback. So it has a lockback here towards the butt of the handle, and then it has this swing guard. And the swing guard is a really cool feature. It's always kind of something that I think people are interested in when I show them knives like this. And what it is it's these two kind of bars that are pinned to, or really riveted to the blade. So they're riveted through the blade and they swing freely, but because they go up against the blade well here, they are held in place when closed. But then when you open, they go against the top of the bolster and are held in place, perpendicular to the blade rather than parallel to the blade, and creates a guard. So hence the name swing guard. It swings out and becomes a guard. So it's a really interesting feature. How much do you need a guard like this on a traditional knife? I don't know. Maybe if you have nefarious purposes, it would definitely help to keep your hands from sliding forward while you're doing any kind of piercing tasks. But it's definitely a really cool feature, kind of something that I am interested in from the mechanical aspect of it. And not that it's super complicated mechanically, but it's just cool that they're able to make that happen. And Great Eastern Cutlery has made one pattern with a swing guard, but I actually turned down the one opportunity I have had to buy one, which I probably shouldn't have, but other companies do make them. So it's something that's pretty rare nowadays, I would say, but through the history of American pocket knives, they have been made by several different companies. But speaking of the piercing, this is a spear point blade on this particular version of the pattern, and it definitely could be used for that. You can see that it almost has what I would call a bayonet grind. So it's partially a dagger grind, so it's almost a dagger grind there. Now of course it's not sharpened, it's not even a false edge here, it's just really swedging, but it's really deep swedging, so it gives it almost the look of a bayonet grind without it being partly double-edged. So I do like the spear point. It's a very classic spear point. It is reminiscent of some of GEC's spear points, particularly on the 54. DLT actually just had a couple SFOs over the past year of that model. So I don't have one to show you, but it's something that you can look up if you're interested. And it is also in Queen steel. It's kind of hard to show you all at once here, but you can see steel and then the Q there. And so this is stainless steel. There's kind of an interesting history with Queen calling it Queen steel. Queen was one of the earlier companies to use stainless steel, and because at that time it had kind of a bad reputation, stainless steel was not like the Magna Cuts and M390s that we have now. It was had kind of a bad reputation among knife buyers. So they used the term Queen steel instead of stainless steel, and to kind of get around that connotation. So that's kind of a cool part of the overall history of American pocket knives for me. And the other thing about that is you don't have to worry about it rusting, and particularly on an older knife like this, this knife is almost 30 years old. It isn't gonna rust and patina. You'll be able to keep that etch. You can see the S&M trademark there, and then the model number on this side. You'll be able to keep those etches and not have to worry as much about those patinaing or getting covered by patina or having to polish them off because of patina. So I like stainless steel. I like the idea, the history of Queen steel. Not all traditional knife enthusiasts do, but I do. I have never really been huge into traditional lockbacks, and part of that is because with GEC knives, they often have some blade play. Now, they will fix it. I know, fellow members of the Barlow Bearcat Club sent in some of the recent, is it 72? I think 72 model that many of them had blade play and they were fixed, but this one has no blade play. It is very, very, very solid. So that's a really nice thing, and it's interesting because this knife is, as my understanding at least, from the era of Queen, where Bill Howard was the head designer, the head, instructor, the master, not instructor, but that's coming from my work, but the head cutler, master cutler. So it's interesting to see that this knife has such solid lockup. No play at all forward and back, no play at all side to side, and again, being an older knife. Now, it doesn't look like it's been used or sharpened or anything like that, which is another reason why I think that this was a good find for my brother. And then speaking also of the kind of mechanics of it, it has nice action. Now, it was kind of gunky when my brother loaned it to me, but that's, again, because it's pretty much a 30-year-old knife. And so I just put a touch of WD-40, which actually is what Bill Howard has recommended to me for oil. I know Charlie Campagna recommended mineral oil to me, and honestly, I usually use mineral oil, but Bill recommended WD-40. And after the WD-40, this has really nice action. This thing really pulls itself closed. So I want to see if I can get it all into frame for you here. Really nice. And the interesting thing, I don't know if this is a function of the swing guard, but it also doesn't have any blade wrap, and the tip sits nicely within the frame. So, kind of a lot of the, small issues, maybe nitpicks that I have with GEC knives every now and then, like a proud tip or blade wrap, and then that other people have with their, lockbacks, which, I don't buy the lockbacks a whole lot, but I have seen lockbacks have the blade play. It doesn't have those. Now, it does have some gaps. So you can see some gapping between the cover and the bolster there. Not a whole lot there, but there is some on this side. Not a whole lot actually there either. And then there is some on the back spring here. Now, how much of those of the gaps on the covers is from shrinkage over the 30 years that this has been, a completed knife? I don't know. And honestly, it's something that I feel that I have seen a little bit more so recently on GEC knives. So it's not like it's unheard of to have that. And my point being that I think that this compares really nicely with GEC knives. I think that this gap is pretty big, but other than that, this is a really, really nicely made knife. Beautiful action. I'm really impressed by the action once I put some WD-40 in it. Really impressed by the lockup. It's well centered, maybe not 100% perfect, but well enough. And I also really like this corncob jigging. This is a really classic corncob style jigging where it's kind of even and rounded, and has this very nice harvest yellow, I would call it. So I could see this making, you know, a good hunting knife. You could use this, you could have that guard, not have to worry about it, you know, your hand sliding up it. But then again, you probably get a lot of gunk stuck in there. But the orange color makes me think of it as a hunting knife. It is easy to open also, as you can see. It's easy to get at that long pull. So I think this is a really nice knife and a really nice find for my brother. I wanted to give you a couple size comparisons because this is a large knife. It's not a small knife. So I'm going to show you two of the larger kind of similarly shaped Great Eastern Cutlery knives. So this is one of the Coal Oil Johnny number, man, there's a lot of wax on this thing. I recently started using Renaissance wax, and I'm not sure I have it quite figured out yet, but this is 87. I believe these were 87s. Yeah, 87. So you can see that the Schatt and Morgan is a similar size, but is a little longer. And then another larger GEC made knife. This is the Remington bullet knife Granddaddy Barlow that Smoky Mountain Knife Works had. And this is a very large knife. It's a little, you know, taller than the Queen in the handle. Let me show you a little bit better so you can see that, but around the same length. So this is a large knife for a traditional pocket knife, even for a locking traditional pocket knife. But I think it's really cool. I'm glad that my brother found it. I've actually seen this model before and never really gotten a chance to get one. And I think he got it for a pretty good price too. So I've enjoyed getting to check it out. I hope you have also. I love the history of these Queen-made knives. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.